This is a Bulldog Radio podcast.
It's the MVSP Season 3, Episode 65. Welcome to the show, everybody. Brandon Worth and Joe Nagy, as well, along with you guys, as always. Can't speak already in the first part of the show. Joining us, though, in studio, got our good friend Jeff Walker. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good Very excited to have you on, especially with your expertise in the NFL, as the NFL Draft is happening tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday, so that's going to be a blast. But before we get into the NFL, we're going to hop into the Ferris State Sports Report because there's a lot to talk about for this weekend, especially with the school year closing, and that means that the seasons for everything else is going to close. So, Brandon, what sport should we start off on?
Just pick one, flip a coin out of my head. Let's
softball.
There we go, softball. You were actually thinking the same wavelength I was. Gonna have some big games coming up tomorrow when this show airs. That'll be Friday against Wayne State. Some big games there, as well as I believe we're going to be back at it again on Monday when we take on, or is it Saturday?
It's 3 days in a row. It's tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yep. Yeah, that is right. So loaded
weekend
is a understatement this weekend.
Loaded weekend
for Ferris Athletics altogether. And I mean, for softball, you're looking at a position now where you're coming off of a pretty hot performance against Parkside, being able to wake the bats up. Northwood really played a pretty solid game overall. Obviously, Mother Nature had other plans to kind of kill that memo. Thanks, Mother Nature. You've been really just vicious over this month of April, but it is what it is. But, I mean, we were taking a really good Northwood team, and we were only down one run going into I believe it was the sixth inning when eventually the game was called. And then the nightcap was also postponed due to weather. But, I mean, overall, just looking kind of at that game, I mean, we were seeing some pretty good things. I mean, we definitely were fighting down the stretch. Northwood had a early, I think it was 4-1 lead after 3, and then we were able to respond with a big top of the fourth, scoring 2. And I think that was something that was really good for us. I mean, we were able to use the extra base hits to our advantage. Paige Courts hit another home run. That is a record at Ferris State, so shout out to Paige on breaking that mark, as well as Kylie Winkles added a double as well. And I believe there was 3 RBIs total from those 3 runs altogether. But definitely had some positions where, like, we left some people on base, but it was not to the caliber that we had seen from earlier in the season, that we were definitely able to take advantage at part of those games. But still, got to make sure we get everybody across the plate.
Mm-hmm. And especially with coming back home, we have such a bigger field that we can really do some damage, especially those extra base hits, because when you get into the gap, because all these players on the outfield are having to play so far apart from each other and play a little bit farther back, or they're playing a little bit farther in, so that way you can kind of take advantage of that and kind of get them to over cheat a little bit in, especially with Northwood when we played them, because Northwood's field I think is pretty short. I'm pretty sure Wayne State's field is short at home, so when they come to our field, it's a little bit of an advantage, especially seeing that it's a little bit bigger. So I think that's going to be the big thing, is just trying to extra base hits will be lovely if we get runners on base, but just trying to get it to the outfield instead of trying to outrun it to first, which we can do, but that's not always the best option.
Yeah, definitely erase the top of the fifth out of this game. That was like the big exclamation point that snuck out to me was when I believe we had bases loaded, or at least 2 on. I want to check. Yeah, so we had bases loaded, nobody out, came out with no runs in that inning. That's just been the story. That really has been the whole story. But, I mean, this team has been resilient, and, I mean, we are still fighting back, especially going into the final frames, and just the fact of that it ended up pretty much kind of getting called off. I mean, I think we would have definitely put up a really good fight in Game 2, just based off what we saw, because Northwood's a really good team. They really swing the bats well, and they are able to generate runs really well. So being able to see the pitching do very solid overall. I mean, we saw some great innings overall from Christina Barr and as well as Christy Gray as well. So I think there was a lot of good things that you can pull out of that Northwood game. Obviously, we could be better. Try to get on top a little bit earlier, get some more runs in the earlier innings. I do love the fact that we're fighting back, though. That is a good step in the right direction. But, I mean, overall, you're looking at these weekend games as really, you got to get them all, right? Because we're in a position where you still got to fight into the GLIAC tournament, and these games are going to be where it's going to take where it's going to have to happen.
I mean, they really need to start out strong with the bats. Really want to start off strong and get a couple runs early. Gives themselves like a comfortable lead just so they can, kind of relax and get into their groove on the defensive side, so they're not too worried about, we really got to hold these guys, get out over quick, get to a 2-0 lead, and then, you could really just settle in a little bit more, and then you can get more comfortable. And then, they got the tournament coming up, so, they're going to have to get hot at the right time, and now's the time.
Yes,
exactly.
I love the optimism, getting hot at the right time. Really, it seems kind of like a cliche, but it's so true, especially in a sport like softball where, it's not necessarily like the games can change on a dime so fast, and it's so hard to replenish that momentum that you can have at one point of the season. Because, especially, again, the Parkside, it's like Pats were scorching hot, right? You could literally just see everybody on the stat sheet. 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits. It was just it was a hit party, I guess is what you would say. But then again, over to the Northwood game, we only have 4 hits through 6 innings. That's just kind of shows how that sport can just generate such momentum shifts overall. And you still have a lot to look forward to. And we still got a lot to wait and see. And it's going to be huge coming up this weekend because, I keep mentioning it. It's like a broken record. These games are winnable. Don't look at the record because we put ourselves in positions. We have the ability to capitalize, and we do that. We can beat these teams. We just got to get runs across the plate, and that's the recipe that's needed for success because we're showing that we can do everything else. We just got to get the runners across the plate.
I think the big thing is making sure, especially what Jeff said about mitigating the damage in the first inning, because every time that we've gone down in the first inning, our approach at the plate has gone incredibly south, I think, because we're, instead of trying to just create some noise with the bats, you're more just trying to be like, wow, I have to get a hit here, or I have to get on base, or else we're just going to have quite the hole to dig ourselves out of. And that mentality is not the best thing to have, especially when you're going up against these good teams like Northwood, when you have good pitching teams like Grand Valley, and when you're going to have Wisconsin Parkside coming up, who we can put numbers up against, but they can just do the same as well. 14-10 the first game, 6-5 the second game. So it's going to be tough, but I think if we just play really well or try to mitigate the damage in the first inning by playing solid on the defensive side and giving us a chance to do some damage while we have the bats in the bottom of the first when we come back home, that's going to be a big W, and I think that's going to be the reason why we can pull some of these games out.
Yep. Really, just you pretty much said it. In that first inning, if they get down, it's a lot harder because then you're up to the plate and you're thinking okay, well, I got to get a hit. I need a hit. We got to have a hit here. Instead, if you just jump out early or you're good defensive early and then you get bats moving early and you jump out to a lead, then you're more comfortable going up to the plate and you're just relaxed. So, you're ready for everything. And when you have a relaxed composure going up to the plate, you're more likely to get a hit.
Absolutely. The approach is going to be key going into this weekend. And especially being able to critique those things now so that we can make that May 8th jump when the GLIAC tournament begins. But you can follow all those online at ferrisstatebulldogs.com. Anyway, moving on over to the tennis courts. Big weekend coming up. GLIAC tournaments on deck. Gonna be huge. Gonna be huge for this program to see how we attest as we can defend our crown. And one big thing that I just found out, according to Jeffery, who's doing the great inside reporting, Morgan Waller's back. And she's going to be likely playing in this GLIAC tournament. She made an appearance at the Saginaw games over the weekend.
That's what we like to see.
So it's going to be huge. I noticed that there was one thing that was kind of strange. I think that they actually, when I look back at the score sheet, that it said that her match she retired or had a retirement in the match. So I think that was the only time that was the one point I should say that Saginaw got from that was she didn't finish the game, which I thought was very interesting. But obviously it's probably precautionary. You don't want to obviously go back too fast. Right. So I'm sure that was a precautionary measure. I'm sure that it's going to be okay. But huge to have her back this weekend. Especially for how well they played against Saginaw. They really showed that any matchup is willing for this team. We saw a lot of great doubles performances. Parker Nolan and got a clack taken down the one match. That was huge for us. And then just seeing all the dominance as far as singles is concerned. I believe there was only one match that went into 3 went into 3 sets. So that just shows you the dominance that we played over the weekend. That was well needed, especially after the rough weekend we had last, and that's the momentum boost that we need going into this weekend because trophies on deck. Time to play at your best.
Because we got the bye, so kind of got to make sure you're playing solid and getting ready for the – because, I mean, men's got the bye, right?
Men's got the bye.
Men's got the bye. Women's are playing in the first round. So it's going to be solid. I'm pretty excited for it. Especially seeing that, like, we're going to be playing some two really – we have the chance to play either, Lake State or Lake –
It's Lake Superior State now.
Yep.
State,
Women's will play Lake State,
and
men are going to await the matchup of, I believe, is it North – or it's not Northwood and no, it's not Northwood.
No.
I'm totally blanking right now. I'll look that up here in just a second.
Bad radio
for sure. But I think that regardless of who the opponent is – especially if you're looking at the men's side with a bye, you're still looking at all the fundamentals that got you here. And I believe it's
Grand Valley or Lake State.
Thank you. I was like, I
knew it was Lake State. But
yeah. So likely, just saying off of what would prediction be is we're probably gonna get GV again, which would be an awesome matchup especially for a 2 versus 3 seed. So that's gonna be huge. And I think looking at both of those teams, I mean, obviously you see the rivalry with GV, but Lake State's a pretty solid team too. They've definitely had their streak so far this season. I think the consistency was really only their concern overall as a team, but I think you definitely look at, especially having a single elimination tournament as a team with a bye, that really you're looking at teams that are going to make that momentum push off of round 1, and that's been something that I feel like the GLIAC tournament altogether with throughout all sports, and even the CCHA tournament as well, where you see teams that might not necessarily be, I mean, they're the lower seed, but really it does come down to playing best at that moment of time, because there's been so many times where we've seen teams at the lower end of the seed spectrum, they play well in the play-in game, and then pretty much they're playing at their best when they're going into that next round, that semifinal or final match. And it really comes down to that. And as the bye, you kind of got to put yourself in the position of, that team's going to be playing at their best coming in. So you don't necessarily treat them as a 6 seed. You treat them as the 3 seed of who wins this, right? Yeah, like numbers really don't matter as far as the tournament seeding. It's just determines who you play when, where. So when you look at those, you look at the matchups that you have going in. If you're Matisse and Jan, you're going to be playing the top 2 guys on the other side. We know we have other guys that are going to have to step up and be big in those 3-4 matches as well in the singles, because those are going to be crucial for us moving forward. And, I mean, the depth of both teams, too, it really brings a lot of positivity going into this tournament, knowing that we have guys that we've rotated in that can play in those big matches, because we had to play some huge matches this year against Northwood, against GV at home, that you have that experience against some of these teams, and you're going to have to bring that success over when teams are going to be playing at their best, that already have that game under their belt, especially for the women's side, or for the men's side, and then for the women's side, use that momentum from that first game and carry it over against good teams.
Yeah.
I don't even like the bye, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like the bye. Yeah, the bye's just kind of like, it's there and you can understand it, but it's almost like you just make it 8 at that point, 1v8, and everybody plays the same.
It can either hurt you or it can help you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're like, let's say you're an unhealthy team, going in, you got that week to get everyone healthy, then that's helping you. Mm-hmm. But if you're on a hot streak and then you gotta slow down, take a week off, then it kind of hurts your momentum a little bit.
I guess it's all right because, I mean, we did lose the last match this season, so that wasn't the worst. Like, I guess we'll just have a chance to be able to scout both teams by watching them the first day, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always been like, I'd rather just, like, start at the start and just keep playing. Like, I don't care, like, if you have to play another one.
Everybody at the same level?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. But I think you look at where, like, the tournament is at together. Like I said, they do this so that there's prominence going into the regular season, right? Because obviously having a bye is pretty sweet, and I think that definitely brings you like a sense of urgency as far as you can move yourself to a position where, oh yeah, we're in the 3 spot right now. Like a 3 or getting a 3 or a 2 seed isn't necessarily as bad, or as far as a 1 through 8 tournament wouldn't necessarily be as much beneficial as, yeah, we get up to the 2 seed, we get a week off. And especially if you're a team like our women's side, for example, that could use that extra week of health, that would be absolutely huge. And I think that's something that they want to bring to the tournament altogether. But I can understand your point of, like, yeah, you kind of have that vibe of everyone start at the same time, let's watch everybody play the first round. and be able to kind of go from there as far as like the even playing field, because obviously teams with a bye have an advantage of having to play less games. You can obviously make the argument they're less tired going into round 2 compared to the ones that just played, but in experience that hasn't necessarily worked out all the time, because that kind of actually can bring you and pull and make you play cold as compared to those hot teams from those earlier rounds. So it's a very interesting format, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, because I mean we got some really good teams, especially on both sides in that early round, first round matches from 3 through 6. So anybody can take these teams for sure. So I mean, it'll be like the standings comparison of like the chunkage of like, yeah, obviously there's an A tier, a B tier of kind of where it's split off based on record. But I mean, that just shows you like there's 4 capable teams within a game of each other going into this tournament. There's 4 contenders right off the get-go. And obviously we're going to have a Cinderella. It's probably going to happen. If not, then the tournament will be kind of boring. But there's still a lot to be uncovered here. And obviously we'll be waiting for it here on the first round, starting up tomorrow, Friday.
Yep.
Could be a good one.
Going to be a good one for sure. Those games are all going to be played at Midland, but you can follow along. I believe on the GLIAC website, they should have live results there. So you can follow along and see how our dogs do as they hopefully advance to round 2 for the women's side, so we can see both of those teams play on Saturday as well. So going to be fun. Time to bring the crown back to Big Rapids. That's the goal. Anyway, finishing out the Ferris State Sports Report. Track is on deck. We're going to be heading to Davenport this week. For those that weren't able to learn that Hillsdale got canceled, unfortunately. They have water damage on their track.
Hate to see it.
So you hate to see it, but
what does that mean? Like they're standing water or something?
Basically, the track, like the top layer is ruined. Like it's probably tore up and all that, and it's probably water. Water depleted. I have no idea what the details were. Maybe it was the snow finally that was heavy enough where it made enough water damage, but I'm not totally sure. That track was already pretty dated. It's one of the first mono tracks put in, I believe, in the state. So I think it's definitely a situation.
What was it called?
A mondo track? It's a little bit different. It's more of like a waffle pattern instead of more of like a straight pattern.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird. It's a unique track for sure.
Does it feel different when you run on it?
It does a little bit. It feels different, but it's like semi-noticeable, but it's not like going from grass to turf difference, if that makes sense. But Davenport will be where everybody's competing. We actually have some competing, I believe, tomorrow on Friday for some of the throws events. As well as there's some longer distance events. I believe a vast majority of both teams will be taking part on Saturday. The faster events, I'll be in the 15 and 800. How I got convinced to do that, I don't know, but we'll figure it out as we go. I'm not a speed guy, but I got to learn over the next 48 hours, but we'll figure it out. But it should be fun. There's going to be a lot of teams at this meet that were originally going to Hillsdale and now are going to make the trek up to Caledonia for that meet, so it's going to be cool. The legit races on Friday will probably be really interesting to watch. I know there's guys that are already in the sub-14 range in the 5K, which is absolutely ridiculous. Those guys are going to be looking for national standards, which is just mind-boggling to think about. But it should be really fun. It should be a really nice tune-up meet, as that's really what it is, going into conferences next week at GV. And really, it's going to be just dialing it all in, fixing the tweaks, and try to get off a quick twitch as fast as possible and roll it over into next week, Thursday and Friday, for the big one.
Yeah, it's going to be sick.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Pretty exciting.
It's going to be fun for sure. There's a lot of competition at this meet, which is going to be really nice. I kind of wish that we had some people in the Friday meet. So I could go down and watch some of those races, because there's some elite guys in Division 2 that are going to be in some of those races, and it's going to be fun to watch. But there's going to be really good competition day 2 as well. For when we compete, there's going to be a lot of good fast teams there. But anyway, that's going to do it, I believe, for the Ferris State Sports Report. And if you haven't heard, there's a little thing coming, the NFL Draft. You may have heard of it.
Well, it's some slight.
Yeah, just a slight thing. We're going to get into all of that right after this.
Are you looking for part-time or full-time work or a potential internship? Eagle Village could be the place for you. It is a great place to make the impact on the lives of youth and is a mission opportunity very close by to Ferris State University. I've worked there. It's a fantastic place. If you want to learn more, make sure to check out eaglevillage.org. Eagle Village, where potential soars.
Here we go. Thursday. It's draft day. Kevin Costner fans know exactly what I'm talking about. It is going to be a special night indeed. 32 picks will be taken tonight. 32 lives changed forever.
Crazy stuff.
Certainly going to be interesting to see how the order plays out. We've already heard a lot of rumors going around about some teams potentially looking to move up, move down, and a lot of players flying up and flying down the draft boards. And certainly going to be one for the ages. Obviously, me and Joe did our mock draft this last week. I believe it was Thursday. Was it Tuesday or Thursday? I think it was
Tuesday.
Tuesday, last Tuesday. So if you want a full mock draft, me and Joe went through all the first 32 picks on that recent episode, or you can find the image of them, which I know Jeffrey was investigating yesterday of our mock draft and critiquing, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
Looking closely at you, Joe.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a minute, but you can follow that all at the MVSP on Instagram and Twitter to find all that information and more. But yeah, I think the one of the biggest things that we're starting to see here on the rumor side, number one, doesn't look so locked up now. Rumors spreading around. Jacksonville not looking at Aidan Hutchinson with that first overall pick. Joe, what is your first thoughts?
Sounds like your computer doesn't. Sounds like your computer's gotta get turned on there, Brandon. But I don't know. I think it's gonna be pretty solid. I would like to see him in Detroit. I think, especially with kind of what he's been able to do in Michigan, and then also just him like being the player that he is and where he's at. I think he'd fit really well in Detroit because I think we're only a few pieces away from being. Oops, sorry, I touched your foot there, Brandon. I think we're only a few pieces away from being I wouldn't say a strong playoff contender, but a team who could shake up a lot of other teams. So I think if we get him, it's gonna be solid. I would hope that Detroit picks him if he's there, but I don't know. Jacksonville just has so many needs that they could just pick a garbage can and put him out on the field, and it would probably make an improvement for what their record's gonna be.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker take another running back in the first round.
Probably could.
I mean, that was so bad. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, Jeffrey. Is it true? We think Aidan Hutchinson going to be a Lion?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like you hear some rumors where, okay, he's for sure the best edge rusher in the draft. And then you hear some rumors where, okay, well, what are his limitations? He's not, he doesn't have the longest arms. Will it translate to the NFL? Like there's some mock draft I've seen where he like slides out of the top 5.
Yeah,
so it's I mean it's crazy to see, but it all depends on what Jacksonville does.
Yeah,
it really does.
I think years past, I mean, especially last year, the draft started at 3, right? I mean, it was pretty locked up. Trevor Lawrence followed by Zach Wilson, and then which quarterback would come next, Trey Lance or Mac Jones? So the draft this year is much more wide open. Not as many clear candidates for the top overall spots. And I think Jacksonville's in a pretty unique situation because, I mean, they just locked up Cam Robinson for a 3-year deal. Are they sold for him on the long haul, or are they going to be looking in another direction to even fill on the other side as well, getting somebody potentially like Evan Neal or Ike Okwanwu as well? So it's going to be really interesting. I think it's pretty locked up, though, that they're looking at either offensive or defensive line, the first overall pick. And I think if we're the Lions, I think everybody would be fair to say, and obviously we can get into that a little bit more here in a second, of the biggest thing we need is an edge. Need to rush the passer. So really, we got four legitimate options. 3 people would say no about, but I know Jeffrey really likes 4th candidate. What do you like so much about Jermaine Johnson?
Man, what he does well is, as an edge rusher, his pass rush, but also he's a good run stopper as well. So I mean, and he's also athletic. He's an athletic freak. So he tested good numbers at the combine. He had a good senior day at the Senior Bowl. So he's been making impressions, and then he's also he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. So that's you got to look at people like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think another name you could throw in that category, Trevon Walker as well. As a guy that's very, he's definitely pretty flexible, good run stopper, pass rushing as far. I think isn't as developed, but I think a lot of teams are going to see that as an opportunity to develop into a special player where guys like Hutchinson and Thibodeau already have that elite wrecking a game ability, which is why they're usually 1 and 2 when it comes to the edge rushers off the board, and what we'd likely see tonight as well. But I think right now, if you're the Lions, you're in a position where, I mean, you could go a different route, but I think it's probably fair to say that whichever is the best edge available, which one, if the Jags don't select one or do select one, whoever's highest on their board in the edge department will probably end up in their lap round 2.
I feel like the Jags will select an edge rusher, but I'm not sure if it's going to be Aidan Hutchinson. I mean, because
there have been buzz around they really like Travon Walker as a number 1 pick just because of his potential, which he's been crazy to think about.
He's been like really talked about a lot the past like couple weeks as like a really number 1 option now, which I don't really see because I look at his tape, nothing really stands out. I mean, he's good, don't get me wrong, but with the first, the second pick, I just don't know. It's just a little bit too much unproven for me to pick him up at that spot. I get the upside, but it's just too much of a risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that if you have the first 2 or one of the first 2 picks or 3 picks or 4 picks or 5 picks, you want a sure thing, right?
Exactly.
Like if I heard this baffling stat from, I believe it was the Morning Woodward show, that there's only since like 2000 or 2002, the number 2 overall pick has been a hit 52% of the time, meaning it's a coin flip if they're going to work out or not. And that's the second guy on a board in a draft, the second best player of potentially 300 elite football players that are in a position where they're going to be on a professional football team. And the fact is, the second best guy theoretically on everybody's board could miss. That just shows you how much that there goes into this process and why there's so much that analytics come involved. Measurements, which I personally don't like when people just go strictly off of measurables, because I'd rather trust the tape than actually like judging off of just statistics of what their measurements were. But I mean, it's gonna be really interesting to see what Jacksonville does, because there's a lot of different ways they can go. And I mean, I think it's especially like with the first, I want to say 5 teams, and probably the Giants might be the only really true exception, where like Jacksonville, Detroit, Jets, Texans all have a pretty common MO of like, yeah, we need a lot. A lot. So really anything's going to benefit in those top picks available, where you're not necessarily like a team that's a little bit lower down the list of potentially, like you could look at a team like the Washington football team doesn't have as many needs as some of other teams as well, especially like the Vikings as well, where teams are going to be kind of more specifying certain positions, not necessarily as best player available, but GMs are different too. But one of the biggest questions, obviously, in this draft as well, where will a quarterback be selected? We've seen a lot of mock drafts. I know that I've seen one that was, I believe, a month ago that had Malik Willis dropping to 32. That would be insane. I don't think it's going to happen, but that just shows you how up in the air this quarterback class is. And I saw one, I think, 2 weeks ago that had 4, or I think almost, I want to say 5. Or I think it might have been 4. We'll say 4, because it would have been Ritter, it would have been Corral, Pickett, and Willis all go in the top 20. Like, it's just going to be, are you in that bad of a need for a quarterback? Because on this class, I think we could all agree, tear down from what we've saw the last couple years.
It's B tier compared to A and S tier that we've been seeing these past couple years. I'm not saying that like these guys couldn't really make a splash in the NFL. It's just seeing what they were able to do in college, and a lot of them came from schools that weren't big. You know, like we saw like Mac Jones, who came from Alabama, who if you're a good quarterback in Alabama, like you're gonna transfer to the league and stuff. And when we see that, and we see like these players who are from Pittsburgh and from Ole Miss, who aren't necessarily powerhouses in college football, but they're still good programs nonetheless. When you see them kind of play and like they don't always have like the best games or whatever, it's not always going to translate. So I think that's the one thing that a lot of people are talking about, is you can either have these guys like go crazy in camp and transfer into the NFL life really well, or you could have them just really fall apart when it comes to them getting their welcome to the NFL moment, whether it be in camp, whether it be in the first game or whatever. But it's like these guys really haven't been facing a lot of talent that can really transfer over and give some sort of view into what the NFL is going to be really like.
Yeah, I think when you look at the list of teams that are going to be looking towards probably taking a quarterback, I think there's really, truly, like I think there's a couple of teams you might be able to make an argument for as of now. I think there's probably I think there'd be probably 4 teams that you would have in mind that stick out to me as like immediate need that you're going to be addressing in the future. The Panthers, the Falcons, the Seahawks, and then the Steelers are going to be the top 4. Then there's going to be other teams too. They're going to be considering it, like the Washington football team, or obviously, like we said, almost every year the Saints. So they could be looking at a quarterback as well. But you look at a lot of the teams that are in those positions, and I mean, you literally have 3 of them at the bottom of the top 10. So you would think, and theoretically, if they're going to fall that far, that's going to be like, yeah, it's a little bit of a reach, but it's safe compared to letting them slide into the teens where we're going to start seeing trades fly like crazy. But I think there's definitely the argument, though, that I don't, is Malik Willis sold as the number 1 guy? Because we've seen a lot of Kenny Pickett that have been taking over him in some mock drafts before. I know I like Willis's upside more than Kenny Pickett, but if you're a team necessarily like the Steelers, I mean, Kenny Pickett falling into your lap would be wonderful because you're in a win-now situation. He's the most pro-ready.
That's true.
The Steelers are reportedly, I guess the rumor is they've been really high on Malik Willis like throughout this whole process. And I believe that Malik Willis is obviously, he has the most upside, the most potential to be the best quarterback in this draft with his athleticism and his arm, and then those stuff that you have to work on with his accuracy, him reading coverages. But with Kenny Pickett, I believe that he's a little bit more pro ready, but I feel like his ceiling is like really just it's where it's at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not going to get much better than what he is right now. And really, what I see happening is one of these teams like the Panthers, obviously they're gonna stay put at 6 and see if one of these quarterbacks fall in their lap. But now you got teams like the Seahawks, the Falcons, and you got the Steelers, who are like, okay, well, Malik Willis is obviously like he's the number 1 like potential quarterback. So what do we have to do to move up? How much does it cost to move up? And that'll be interesting to see because I feel like teams like the Lions, maybe even the Texans will be looking to be like, okay, well, hey, let's try to make a deal here. I mean, because they want to grab more future picks because they're in such a rebuild where not only is this one player going to help, but what can we acquire for the future? With the draft going into next year and the years after that.
Yeah, trading down is something that the Lions, I feel like, are in a good position to do so, and I would love to see them do that. I think honestly what they're probably worried about is you want a game wrecker, especially at edge. You're going to have to stay in probably the top 7-8 picks. So, and I think what the narrative has been driven so hard is I think a lot of other teams are confident that like the Lions are going to be probably not looking at a quarterback number 2 now, even though that was it is still a bleak possibility. I mean, it would be a little bit of a reach for me to see Malik Willis go number 2.
There's been some talks. There's been
talks though, so it's not out of the question. If it happens tonight, I will be shocked for 5 seconds, and then I'll be like, you know what? If they like him that much and they want him, why not? Why not take him and not necessarily try to wait it out? But I think if you're in a position. Like, I was really hoping the Lions would keep up the Malik Willis talk so we could start hearing some things fly from Carolina and Atlanta, which we have been willing to work with, both teams in the past, and especially with the Panthers a year ago where that was almost where the destination of Matthew Stafford landed, ironically, before the Rams offer was too good to pass up with those connections. But you look at a team like Pittsburgh, like they're in a unique situation, right? They're at 20. And you're seeing a lot of these mocks come out. You're hearing teams' big boards now. Like, apparently the Lions have a pretty similar big board to the Texans by what I've heard, which is very interesting to me. But on paper, it does make a little bit of sense. But it's like you have these, like literally, like what I mentioned earlier, Malik Willis going to 32, which I didn't even notice 3 months ago. And if that was a possibility, I'd be like, yeah, I would absolutely love that. Yeah, that'd be perfect for us almost. But I think you look at where Pittsburgh is. Are they going to be hoping that much that happens, that they're going to let the board play out, or are they going to try to be aggressive with some of these teams that could use later on capital and try to get into the late 10s, the early teens, and make sure that they get their guy? Because in reality, there's Malik Willis and there's Kenny Pickett, but I mean the other guys afterwards, it's not like a huge drop. It's not like we're talking Trevor Lawrence compared to Kyle Trask, right? There's not like this huge there's no comparison.
All
There's
these guys are
there's
in the
three
same area.
tiers here. Like there's no in between. There's no argument for one or for a C guy to be in the A category. Where these guys all seem like they're like, yeah, I mean, if you were to grade like prospects, I mean, if you put like Trevor Lawrence at an A example, these guys are all like in the B+ to like B- range. They're all really good. They're not as high up in this class, which is obviously why we still have these debates that they're not going to be in the top 5 overall picks like it has been years past. But you still have a position where, I mean, if the Steelers are looking for just like, yeah, we just need a quarterback, we like all 3 guys, and it's like, yeah, stay put. You're fine. You don't have to move anywhere because one of them is going to drop unless this board just gets so crazy, which I don't even anticipate that. I would honestly bet that we could see, like, if there was an over-under on 2.5 quarterbacks taken, I would take the under. Because I don't think there's that much urgency for teams to take a quarterback in this year's draft as compared to years past.
Especially knowing what's going to be coming out potentially next year with the quarterback situation out of the college.
Yep.
You know, those are some top 3, top 4 quarterbacks coming out. You know, never know. You might see what's his name? He transferred to South Carolina from Oklahoma.
Spencer?
Spencer Rattler. If he goes
Joe,
there,
you think Spencer?
if he goes
Spencer.
if he goes there and revitalizes his career, I mean, then he's like, you know, he's creeping back up there too. But I mean, you got Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, the dude from Clemson, DJ Ogalele.
Yeah. Next year's draft class for quarterbacks is, I think, going to be pretty scary.
Yeah, I think
because you'll probably have Caleb Williams probably declare if he has a good year at
Caleb
USC.
Williams too.
Yep.
You'll have, I mean, depending on how, like, if Michigan kind of has like a repeat year and J.J. McCarthy gets a start, like, and he plays pretty solid, or Cade McNamara gets started or whatever, like, you'll probably see one of those guys declare for it. I think it's going to be a very heavy first round quarterback draft next year.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that you're going to see a lot of that push over this year. Like, you know, it's kind of a setup play, I think, is what a lot of teams see this as. Because I think that even puts the Lions in a better position because, honestly, I'm not as urgent as other teams to get a quarterback that fast.
Yeah.
I want guys like edge. Yes. If we took two edge rushers in the first 3 picks, I'm totally fine with that. Because that is an urgent need that this team needs. And I know we have the Quark brothers. I get that. We just let go of Trey Flowers. That tells me, yep, they're not in with this system anymore. We're going to get some new guys, which is good. Because the fact of it is, those guys are all really good role players. Their upside's a little bit lower than a lot of these guys in the draft, and I think that's okay. And especially considering the health concerns that we've had. How many edge rushers have we lost to injury 6 games out of the year the last 3 years?
Right.
It's been every single year, multiple guys. So the fact of it is you need to get these guys immediately. So I'm totally fine with that. I'm not as urgent to get a receiver as well. I know some guys want to get 32 or 34 for a receiver. I'm cool with it. But, I mean, if there's a potential guy like Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean on the board.
At 32, you have to.
I don't think you can do it.
Speaking of that, Joe.
You got to go for it.
Go for it. I think so. Like, honestly.
I had a problem with Joe.
Oh, beef.
What about? You talking about with me?
I seen the mock draft.
Oh, here we go.
I seen you pick Darian Beavers over Devin Lloyd. What is going on?
Well, here's the thing.
We do have to spice it up a little bit.
Like 2 picks before that, one of my picks got taken, so then like my mind was just in a scramble to figure out what guy to take, and after that, it just kind of tumbled into just a fiery dumpster fire.
Devin Lloyd. If Devin Lloyd fell to number 32,
oh my God, I would cry. I would cry.
Cry tears of joy.
I would cry.
Cry tears of joy.
There's another linebacker I think it would be pretty good if Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd get taken early. I think with either 32 or 34, you could possibly be looking at Leo Chanel.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, you're talking about Leo, yeah. I think he'd be one in there. I know there's been a lot of buzz about Boy Mafe, especially from Detroit's fan base as well. And he would be a good fit for us, I feel like, too, for Minnesota.
Yeah, but then I don't know if picking 2 edge rushers back to
back is the problem.
Because he'd have to go either 32 or 34.
He has to go 32,
even then,
I
so,
think.
you know, that's still... That's a lot early. I mean, there's a 3rd round edge rusher that there's been a lot of talk about. Cameron Thomas out of San Diego State.
Yes, that is a sleeper name.
He's pretty
that
good.
I've heard.
So I mean, 3rd round, you know, potential. I mean, either way, I want the Lions to walk away with 2 edge rushers in this draft somehow. Just because even though if we might have a lot of depth at that position, then it's not like any of these guys are for sure starters, so they can get their job taken.
Yeah, and I love the points that a lot of like the guys from Morning Woodward have said. Like, we're not necessarily looking at players, we're looking at statistics as far as picks are concerned, and I mean that should immediately tell you we should not take a safety number 2 overall. No. We should not have been considering Kyle Hamilton from day one. I think he's a great prospect, but not number 2. No way.
And now that what we've done in the free agency, I don't even think a safety is anywhere even near like the top 4 picks. I think that might be a 5th round thing just to get for a backup, because I mean you just brought these guys in, see how it works out. If it doesn't, next year you got that 2nd round pick to pick another safety, but you have to see what these guys are going to do first. And there's other addressing needs that you could pick up in this draft that are heavy on.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the ones I follow CBS Sports more than some of the other platforms. I love the work they do, especially on the Pick 6 pod. Those guys are awesome. Like I've looked at some of their things, and a lot of them are just sold on 32 is gonna be a quarterback. Whether it's Desmond Ridder, if Kenny Pickett somehow falls, if it's Sam Howell, I'm gonna briefly just let that one go.
If the Lions pick a quarterback anywhere in this draft, I'm going to cry.
Brother, I think
tears of sadness.
I think it's a reality, my friend. But a lot of them, I think, would agree that the first team that will likely be looking at taking one is the Panthers. And I think the biggest thing too with some of the quarterbacks is I think a lot of teams aren't feeling as urgent even in the 20s, because I think middle rounds, I think we've talked about for sure, is the run on the receivers is probably going to be insane. I think that we could potentially see 7-8 receivers taken in this first round, which is one of the most that we've had in a long time. And I think it was like 2004, I think I heard was like the last time we've had more than like 7 receivers. There's only been one really relevant one, and it's Larry Fitz. It's the only one that was really relevant out of that draft class in the receiver position. But you look at what a lot of these teams have, they already have pretty solid foundations. Like if you look at teams like Washington, Houston, Philly, Saints, all those teams could use a quarterback. And I feel like even if the Steelers are in a position where they have a Chris Olave on the board, a Jameson Williams on the board, any other sort of a good receiver, I think maybe you hold the brakes a little bit when you get to like Treylon Burks and some of those guys. But you have all those guys starting to go up. George Pickens even, they could make an argument there that they'll still be able to take him, because, I mean, Pittsburgh hasn't, like, if they see something that they really need, and I think receiver, especially with Juju leaving, is a need for them now, like that, they're going to take it. And it doesn't matter exactly where their position is. I mean, we saw what they did with Najee Harris. 2nd round grade, everybody's like, nope, not in the 1st round. 25, there he is, and there he goes. So I think they could be one that could be really influential in this draft, because, I mean, they're also going to be in the trading market as well. But the amount of receivers that we could possibly see in this first round is just going to be insane. I think it starts with Drake London or Garrett Wilson, whoever really the Falcons could want if they don't want to necessarily take a quarterback or an edge rusher. So they probably will start with them. The Jets are going to probably be in play with one at 10. Washington will probably take one. And then obviously whatever the board is going to leave Houston, I think they'll start to go in that direction as well. And then Philly, Jameson Williams be a slam dunk for Philly. So you could, right there, that's 5 teams looking at a a wide receiver for their new quarterbacks in the next, over the 7-pick span. So the reality is teams are starting to feel a lot more comfortable with their positions are later in the rounds. And I think like we haven't had in years past, where last year was like, once it's kind of like you either get into the top 10 or you just sit, where for almost was like for the receivers specifically, but now you're in a position where it's like, if you're gonna get a receiver, you got to get in the mid-teens and you got to trade up.
That's true.
I feel like Green Bay, they're gonna pick.
Is this finally the year that Green Bay will take a skilled position player?
I feel like they don't have a choice. I feel like they don't have a choice because
they got rid of everybody.
They literally don't really have any receivers on their roster right now.
Yes.
And I feel like Aaron Rodgers is really in their ear like, hey, if you do this,
I just came back for y'all. Do one thing for me. Get a receiver in our room.
I feel like they might draft 2 in the first round. With both of their first round picks, I feel like they draft 2 receivers.
Yeah, I believe Joe also had.
Or they might try to move.
I had one of them. I think I chose. Was it Chris Olave? Did I choose?
They might even try to move up.
I think you picked him for the Saints.
Yeah.
Oh,
one of
you
the two.
had did you have Treylon Burks?
I think so.
That's been a common name I've heard that Green Bay is interested in, and 22 is like perfect for them. I think all 5 of the mock drafts I've seen, at least for CBS side, I know multiple ESPN ones have them selecting at least 1, some 2, some. There was one where I saw 0, and I was like, if they do this, if you beg and get Aaron Rodgers back, and you don't get him 1. Just 1. You have 22 and 28. You can assess a defensive need later. You can get a safety, a linebacker, defensive lineman, a pass rusher at the 28 spot. There's going to be a position for them to do that. But the fact of it is, you're not going to make Aaron Rodgers happy doing that first and then passing up receiver later for the next couple of rounds, because they've missed on, I believe, almost all of them that they've taken in the 2nd or 3rd rounds. I think the only one that was close was Amari Rodgers. And he hasn't even played that much.
Right. There's a possibility that the Lions possibly move that 32. I feel like they could either move up or they can move back and acquire more picks if they move back. Moving up, I feel like they might try to like move up and grab one of those big name receivers before they're gone.
Yeah, I think I saw one where we actually traded out with Seattle at 32 because Matt Corral was still there after they took Kayvon Thibodeau falling to 9, which would be like, it'd be interesting. I'd love to see what the
I could see Seattle
details would
and
be.
Detroit trading for 2 and switching 2 and 9. I feel like Seattle might get cold feet,
I would love that.
get a little nervous that Carolina's up there wanting a quarterback, and that'd be nice. And then I can finally get my pick at number 9, and I'll be happy with that. Jermaine Johnson at number 9.
I see. You're really big on Jermaine Johnson compared to some of us. I personally would think that I love Hutch. I love what he brings. I hate the slander that he's gotten. I can understand where people are kind of like, yeah, he's getting kind of overhyped a little bit. I can totally understand that.
Mm-hmm. Well, we saw that in the playoffs.
We saw what he did.
He's definitely a good player. I just feel like the Jags, if they take him, I mean, it's and pretty much all the pressure is really on the Lions.
He's gonna have some really valuable time to develop in camp, because we played Georgia or whatever, and they just shut him down.
Yeah,
that's one thing that was not super great to see, because you thought nobody could stop Aidan Hutchinson, but I think especially in camp, and you'll be able to get reps against NFL talent guys. I think with his attitude and what he's been able to do, especially if he gets to Detroit, I think he'll be able to really develop into a really solid player that is going to be a solid pick. But that's if he drops to 2, and that's if we take him.
Yeah.
He has to drop, though.
Yeah, that's true. He has to drop, and we have to decide to take him.
It's got to start with Jacksonville, and they're going to have to pass him up. But, I guess moving forward now, getting into some bold predictions before tonight. There's a lot of that could be done. I can start off with one that I think is realistic. It's out there, but I think it's realistic. I think there's a chance we see 8 receivers gone in this first round.
I respect
very
it.
high number, and it's pretty crazy to think, 1 out of every 4 picks is going to be a pass catcher. But, I mean, with the league changing, and I mean, especially with a lot of these teams being so, I wouldn't want to say offensive-oriented, but the reality is the success that young receivers have had so far over the last couple of years with guys like Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
You have those guys that have really, Justin Jefferson being a prime example. DK Metcalf was a 2nd-round guy, but, I mean, you can still argue that, I mean, if he would have been redrafted, you might have took him in the 1st round. But I think you look at where a lot of those guys are at now, it's like, yeah, I mean, we can try to go with a later round, which I think the Lions, I'm totally confident if the Lions want to wait, because, I mean, they've showed that we can hit in later rounds. Thank you, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Beautiful.
I feel like the only receiver that I would want the Lions to take, because I feel like everyone else is going to be gone, and between 32 and 34, the only possible receiver I could see them taking is Christian Watson, just because of his size, speed, and athleticism. That's just things you can't teach.
Yeah, he'd be great in that position.
He's the deep ball threat. 6'4", so I mean 6'4", runs 4.4. I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, so I think Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Jamison Williams, Chris Olave, and I gotta probably say Treylon Burks will be the definite 5 from there. So the reality is for my prediction to work, we need to see Jahan Dotson, Christian Watkins, and George Pickens probably get taken in that spot. So I think it's possible. Obviously, these are bold. These aren't as likely to happen, but they could happen. Or you could also have Sky Moore in that conversation as well. That could also be another one that could float in there if a team wants to take him as a flyer in the late first. 'Cause I think there was one I saw Kansas City would be in that position, which that would actually work really well for them.
He's been a name that has crept into that first round conversation quite a lot lately.
Yeah, so. I would think so for sure. Jeffrey, you got any bold predictions for tonight? He's got a smirk on his face. Oh, give it to us.
My number one bold prediction is the Detroit Lions select Jermaine Johnson at number 2.
Whoa, that's a big one.
I just feel like, like Brad Holmes said, when we got a guy we like him, we're gonna get him.
Wow, that would be bold. I think it is possible though, because rumors have swirled around the Jets really like him. So if you're gonna have to take him, you're gonna have to take him at 2 because they're not gonna wait till 10.
Nice. Yeah, his tape is really nice. His tape is really nice.
Yeah, I think that they're in that position. I would love to see Sauce go to the Jets, but I think that there's probably a pretty good argument that the Texans might try to snag him at 3. There's even rumors that we wanted to snag him at 2. I don't know how I feel about that yet.
Oh, not that hard.
I don't know, man.
No.
Yeah, he didn't allow a touchdown in his whole collegiate career.
I'm still stuck on
Whoa. He said he doesn't remember the last time he allowed a touchdown.
Yeah, it could have been preschool.
That's what he said, Joe. I don't know.
No,
I want to see the tape, but that's what he said.
He definitely had to have allowed one at some point before his college
High school,
career.
maybe?
High school, maybe.
I
don't know. It depends where he played, though.
He played here, Detroit.
Played in Detroit?
But, I mean, he would have
He's from Michigan.
He would have still...
What high school did he go to? Cass Tech?
I can't remember what
No,
high school
it was...
Was it Detroit country?
It was,
I'm trying to think of all the Detroit schools.
No,
was it Martin Luther King?
Oh, shoot. It wasn't Martin Luther King. I can't remember now off the top of my head. Jeffrey's Googling it for us, so he can check it here in a minute. I thought it was like a Southfield or something. I could be totally wrong, though.
He went to Martin Luther King.
Oh, he did go to MLK.
Yeah.
Okay. That would make sense. So, I mean, he would have still had to play, good team. Like, he would have played
good
Cass.
teams.
He would have played all those teams that
Cass,
pro-ready
Detroit
guys.
Country Day.
Yeah, they would have played all those pro teams.
And
so
then, they're always in the playoffs. So,
there's no way.
I might have to go back and look at his tape.
We're going to have to
You might have to go look at it real quick. But I don't know if that'd be a good idea for Detroit to take him that early. Like, if we decide, I don't know if he's a number 2
We
type.
we got enough of that early DB.
Nope, can't do it.
Now, don't get me wrong. I still have hope for Jeff Okudah. He's been hit.
Wait
with
till
some
he gets
injury bugs, but let's just calm down.
They say get over it.
Okay?
No, I can't get over that.
Let's calm down, okay?
That was Quintricia. Pile of garbage.
I want an edge rusher, please. Thank you.
I also agree.
I don't care who it is. Just pick an edge rusher.
Just pick one.
Pick him out of a hat.
Just take one, please. Okay, Joe. Bold prediction for tonight.
I don't really have a bold. I feel like it's gonna go pretty chalk, to be honest.
Yeah?
I'll say this. I think that Malik Willis is going to be the last quarterback picked out of the 4.
Whoa. I like that. Spicy.
Now, that's definitely a bold prediction.
He'll be the last quarterback out of the 4 to be picked.
That is ghost pepper hot right there. That is a cool
What'd you
take,
do, eat
though.
a habanero before you walked in?
I don't know. You said what's a bold pick, and I was like, I could see it happening.
I could too. I mean, if you look at position-wise, Carolina's had Pickett as their spot at 6. You take a guy like Matt Corral maybe at Falcons? You want more of a leadership guy?
It's not like any of these quarterbacks jump out to you. You know?
And
they're
then
all in the same realm.
And then 20, you want a gritty guy with Desmond Ridder that's going to have longevity. And
if he's there at 20, the Steelers are definitely going to take Malik Willis.
You never know, though.
Like,
I just feel like that's the buzz that's been
crazy.
going on.
We have seen crazy.
We have.
So I think it's possible.
Sleeper?
It is very spicy, though. That is a spicy take right there. Oh, there's also one I would like to add that is not a first-round related. That a Ferris State Bulldog will be drafted on day 3. It will happen. It'll be Pasquale or Dano Bede.
Right now.
Mark it down. Joe just got so anxious jumping out of his chair when I said that. I think
he's excited, man. He's excited.
I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be the year.
I think this could be too. I think we got a pretty solid group coming in. I say probably almost. I'd say we're probably gonna get 4 at least go through undrafted.
Yeah,
probably
I
go
think
to
so.
free agency, and we'll probably get one.
Yes.
I feel like Bernhardt's going to get picked up in free agency. I don't know why teams wouldn't.
Yeah, I believe I know that I've heard some things go around, and I've saw some things related to the Chargers liking Obed as a potential day 3 guy, and I would be like, that would be pretty sick to see him go there in the 7th round. I think it's definitely possible, or even the 6th round. For those that assume that Bernhardt is going to be drafted on Saturday, I'd say don't get your hopes up.
Hold your horses a little bit.
It'll be sweet, but the reality of it is, as great of a player he was, teams are going to have a hard time taking a specialist potential player as a draft pick. I think it's hard to
I
do
feel
that.
like the smart idea is just to go through free agency.
Bingo.
For him.
Exactly.
For both parties, honestly, because that way you can kind of negotiate a little bit. And, like, he's a guy who's probably going to only be, because he's only got, what, a 4.5 40. He's fast, obviously, and he's good in the open field and, like, with one-on-one situations. So he's probably just going to chill at a kick returner or a punt returner rather than kind of mold into that receiver spot, because we've never seen him kind of off the line of scrimmage, what he's been able to do to create separation with that. Not saying that he's not going to be able to, because we've seen what he's been able to do on the lacrosse field, and that's almost the exact same thing, especially with just trying to create separation. But I think especially if you look at where he's going to go, like, I think Denver's probably going to look for him in free agency. I know what was he talking to? Patriots as well.
Yeah, the Patriots. Belichick always loves D2, D3 guys.
Yeah.
So
No,
he's going to be snooping a
always-
little
the
bit.
guy
always in
scores
the
what,
background.
80-plus yard run touchdown on the first play of the game in a national championship.
Yes. 64, I think it was.
64 yards.
Officially, yeah,
He
64.
scored what? 3 rushing touchdowns in the national championship.
Yeah, he also had
It's ridiculous.
he also had a 68 yard run first game of their semifinals too against Shepherd on the first play. They talk about
Which is
starting off strong. It's an understatement, but yes, I do believe we will have our first pick since 2018 when Zach Sealer was taken by the Baltimore Ravens. I think that we will see another lineman go off the board this time on the offensive side of the ball. That is my bold prediction, but we'll be watching our dogs for sure on the draft nights for sure, because I believe there will be a lot that will be definitely considered in the undrafted free agency process, because there's a lot of good football players that come here because you can get there from here.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this NFL draft preview episode. We appreciate all of your views. Jeffrey, thank you for joining us, my friend. Love hearing your insight. Always good to have Joe on as well. You know, we're just kind of our show.
Yeah, it's true.
We're kind of supposed to be here.
Big Joe.
So we both missed our time, but I mean, it's definitely great to still be making banger content. We look forward to doing that next year for you guys as well. We'll probably be having probably one show next week during exam week, just to wrap it up before the summer, before Joe heads on a plane. You on a plane or a car?
Driving.
You're driving. Ooh, that is a
quick little 20-something hour drive down to Florida, so that's going to be a blast. But
Ooh, that's a long
hey, it's
ways.
going to be 3 months of nonstop work, and then we'll be back here in the studio. It's going to be an absolute blast.
Gonna be a banger. Gonna be
right.
fun. But until next week and potentially the fall.
Take care, everybody.